Today, someone posted a very funny, what do they call them? Tweet still? Tweet from the company Fiat, the car company, in our Bitcoin Mystery School private Telegram group. And it was funny. The tweet says something to the effect of, why do all of these cryptocurrency people hate us? Please just leave us alone. And it was Fiat, right? The car company, Fiat, which also, of course, shares the name with fiat currency that, of course, cryptocurrency people, as the car company rightly said, are always pointing out and treat as a boogeyman. A gigantic boogeyman. Oh, fiat's so bad. Fiat money, fiat currency, it's terrible. We're fighting against fiat currency. And so, apropos of the fact that we are covering a lot of these topics in the new Bitcoin Mystery School currency curriculum, which you can go and sign up for it now, the July course. I already did June. June was great, but that was a lot of previous students and subscribers of my Counter Markets newsletter. So this one I'm opening up to the public. I don't know how much I'll announce it. There's only 30 slots. That'll be the last that I say about it. But apropos of that, I thought that I would just do a little video about Fiat and the Fiat boogeyman and how it's such a piece of the cult, of the Bitcoin cult, the BTC maximalist cult, and how it's really used to confuse people who don't know anything about these particular topics. So the first thing to say is that all currency is fiat by definition. What does fiat mean? Fiat basically means by order. So fiat is the order usually of a king. So he says he's made this law by fiat. So it's just his own decision as a king. This is what it's going to be. He's made the declaration and this is what it is. All currency, by definition, is fiat. Because currency is, the definition of currency is, it is the money that is in circulation in a given country at a given time. In other words, the current time. They would say this is what passes current for money in this country. And the history of currency, again, we'll cover this in Bitcoin Mystery School's new curriculum. The history of currency, if you understand the history of currency, even the names down to this day. So this is not even like some mystery. I'm not just pulling it out of my ass. Like the names even down to this day. Currency is weight. It's a measure of weight. It began as a measure of weight. So we can even go back to the Bible for this one. Shekel. Shekel in Exodus, which is taking place in the Old Testament. Exodus takes place before the first coin is ever coined in Lydda, in the Lydian coin. The first one. Before that's ever done, Exodus takes place and they are denominating the temple tax that Jews are ordered to pay by God as half a shekel per man. And then they go on to use shekel in that same chapter for weights of all different kinds of things, frankincense and all of these different things. So it was initially weight. And the initial coins were actually tools for weighing. But they were standardized, they were stamped and authorized by the king. And still to this day, we have departments of weights and measures, both nationally and internationally, that decide how much is a pound, how much is an inch, how much is a meter, what's the speed of light, all of these things. And guess what? They're all by fiat and they always have been. As a matter of fact, we can go back and find ancient shekel weighing stones that are signed by the kings of Persia. And by the way, the Jews, for their weight, actually specifically, go and read Exodus, specifically, they are choosing the weighing measures that are already in use by the Canaanites, by Tyre, the Tyrian shekel, which is the Canaanites, their own enemies, the Baal worshippers. Okay, so this has always been about weight. And think about it. Pound sterling, that's a weight. Peso, the Spanish peso, the Spanish silver dollar. Peso means weight. Thaler was a unit of weight, which is where we get dollar. roughly equivalent to the peso, which is roughly equivalent to 1 ounce of silver. But this is by fiat. And you know it's by fiat because the king stamps his face on it. Again, we go to the New Testament and we get the render unto Caesar story, where Jesus says, bring me a penny whose face and inscription is on it. And they say Caesar's, because it's by fiat. If we go and we look at the very first paper money, really, that's in circulation, it's the Pennsylvania pound. It's printed by Benjamin Franklin. And when you look on the obverse side, it says, to counterfeit is death. And it's signed by the political heads at the time of the Pennsylvania colony. It is all by fiat. But here's the thing. Here's the tricky part. Okay? So even metal money is fiat money because you still have to set a weight. And various different weights have been set over the centuries, over the millennia. They've chosen different units of measurement. Now, the ones that have stuck around have all been related in an interesting way and evolved from the temple tax, believe it or not, from the shekel. Because it's very hard to dislodge a weight, right? When you have a unit of measurement that's weight, it's very hard. It's like a language. It's very hard to get people to stop using it once you have consensus about what that is, especially when you have it used by many different countries, as we do the metric system and the imperial system and the dollar and the euro, okay? Just like we had the peso and the grossi and the denarius and the shekel. But Bitcoin is fiat too. Because although Bitcoin, yes, you have these other elements of you're going to do hashing and there's actual work and you've got proof of work and all of that, there are still values that are set by fiat. And those can be changed and you will get new networks that have new and different values. So for instance, Dogecoin, Litecoin, BTC, BCH, XEC, they are all fundamentally just Bitcoin. They're the same protocol. But what's been changed, particularly when you look at the changes that were made to Dogecoin and LTC early on, they are things like, what's the block size? Of course, that was the split with BCH and BTC. What's the block time? What are we shooting for? BTC, it's 10 minutes between blocks. That is not the case with LTC. That is not the case with Doge. What hashing algorithm? That's going to determine what hardware can hash it and what can't. How much hash power you'll have on the network. That's what Monero's like, oh, we don't want to be able to have ASIC miners. But if you've got SHA-256, yes, then that means not only can you mine BTC, but you could switch over to BCH, for instance. Okay? Those are all things that you could set. Minimum miner fee. All of these are arbitrary things set by fiat by the developers. 21 million Bitcoins, right? The limit, that 21 million limit, that's fiat. That's a variable in the configuration. What constitutes a Bitcoin? The fact that it's 100 million Satoshis. So you get 21 million. Well, eCash changed it to it's 100 Satoshis to 1 eCash. These are fiat. So the key here is it is people not thinking. There are authorities, even if you're using Bitcoin, there are authorities who have said we are going to use these particular values, and those values determine a lot. They determine the economics. Bitcoiners admit that 21 million determines the economics. They admit that being able to have ASIC miners determines the economics. That's determined by fiat. By fiat, you could turn off the ability for ASICs to mine Bitcoin by simply changing the hashing algorithm, and Bitcoiners have talked about doing this. So they know it's real. So these are the things to think about if you want to be involved in this space, if you don't want to get caught up in the cult, if you don't want to just fall into repeating things that you have heard and you want to start thinking for yourself and understanding the real value and being able to actually get some alpha if you're an investor, these are the places that you need to start your exploration and the things that you need to think about instead of just parroting what you hear and just falling into a cult, because that's just going to get you, as all cults do, losing all your money and potentially your soul. So if you do want to dig deeper, okay, I'll say it one more time, bitcoinmysteryschool.com. You can go and sign up. It's available right now, mid-June is the next class. That might be the last class. I don't know. I'm very, very busy here, and the end of this summer is going to be very busy for me with coding. So I may not do any more classes. Hopefully I will, because it was really a great one in June, and I enjoyed it. So I'd love to see you there. It'll get you the class over the course of a weekend. You're going to end it with making your own cryptocurrency, and you will get access to the Telegram group, which has hundreds of members, has been around for years, is crazy active, and we talk about all kinds of stuff that you're not going to hear anywhere else. All right, talk to you again soon.